Oh, we got it right though.
Yo, what's up? You are listening to the Heat 76.1. I am one of your co-hosts, Queen J.
It's your boy Will Make It.
DJ M.
Of course. Los is in the building.
It's King Takashi.
Hey, it's your boy Sly.
He cut me off too.
Thank you. Thank you.
The webmaster.
Wake up, y'all.
So if
This
you
show-
guys are wondering what we're talking about, you know what? Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead. I'm going to let you do your thing. You was about to do an ad?
Yes, I was about to say this show is brought to you by Wing King. Go out and
Lumpia
get
Lady
I like that. Get it out of the way
Yes.
first.
that. And the Lumpia Lady.
and Cafe Orleans.
Yeah.
No.
We'll go.
No, I thought we've been doing Cafe Orleans, right?
Oh, my gosh. All right, so it's brought to you by Winking. Shout out to Winking.
I don't want to say that online, man.
Oh, my gosh.
All right, cool.
Anyway, if there are any business people, entrepreneurs, or anybody looking to build a website, you could join myhopenetwork.com. They're doing free promo through all of September. Let's just say I know a guy, but if you go on that website and you click to apply, you can get a free domain and website built for you with, I think, 5 to 7 templates. So if you're looking
That's
for websites, I got you.
That's
You know what I'm
lit.
saying?
Everyone should have a website.
Yeah, I almost forgot to mention that, but I wanted to bring that up.
That is pretty dope, though.
Yeah. So we should just get right into it because I
Let's
don't
do it.
want to BS around.
Let's do it.
So we've been having a lot of conversations via the Heat group chat,
Yes,
and
we
there's a few things that we need to address. Plus, we're going to talk about a topic that we already spoke on, but I thought it would be good because we probably have different perspectives on it. But we are going to start with this picture that King Takashi put in the group chat, and it says, "No child should receive a plate before the man of the house." Right?
Yes.
And I'm going to read what Takashi said. He says that he thinks the man should receive the first plate. It helps teach the child respect and to understand position. When kids are put first, they develop a sense of entitlement that gives them a false sense of the world. That's part of the reason why kids think everybody owes them something and they don't have to work for anything. So we can start wherever y'all want. Whoever wants to hop on that. Do you agree?
Me.
Do you disagree? Okay. Queen J goes first.
I want to hear her.
Word.
Honestly, in my opinion, I personally don't think that it matters. Some people do. My mother, not gonna tell her business, but it didn't matter. Like sometimes she would serve my stepdad first, sometimes she would serve us first. Just depending on the night, it wasn't just like, oh, like he's getting fed first. It's just like, hey, you know what y'all want? You know, you want this. Sometimes she feed us first, sometimes she feed him first, you know? So, I mean, personally, I don't think it matters because in a child's eye, to me, I feel like they're not going to see it how we see it, you know? Like, oh, dad gets the plate first because he does this. They don't care about that. You teach them through other values, in my opinion. So I don't think it really matters to me.
I'll agree. I disagree strongly.
I disagree.
What do you think?
I was raised like family dinners and stuff like that. The kids always get the food first,
Mm.
and then it was everyone else. But I don't see, like, I see why. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not gonna eat much anyways. Who gives a shit? So just feed them first. The kids, they're hungrier than everyone else. They got smaller stomachs.
Now to you, because I feel like we're on the same page with it. But you can go ahead.
I'm kind of backing up with what Takashi said in regards to, you know, it teaches them respect. It teaches them, you know, basically, you know, just that ownership of knowing like, hey, you know, that's the provider of the house. Now, granted, if he's not, if the father isn't pulling his weight, then, you know, I'm not saying he doesn't deserve his plate first, but it's not as important to make it known. But if that's the preacher, provider, protector in my household, then dad gets a plate first. Like that was just hands down. That's how you kind of
But if
unintentionally
really-
without
Like
really
that,
seeing like,
and
all
at
right,
the
you know,
same time,
that's a respect.
I
for
think
it.
it doesn't matter either, just because it's like, okay, if the man of the house wants the first plate because he wants the biggest piece of chicken or some shit like that, like it doesn't matter who you serve first if you get the biggest piece of chicken. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like, what do you mean
Yeah,
by who's
yeah.
serving
I
first?
feel you.
You know what I mean? Because most of the guys want the first plate because they want the best plate, you know? But it doesn't mean you can't serve
No.
around.
Nope.
No.
I disagree.
Yeah, I just
I learned that from my grandmother. My grandmother is very, I mean, it's an old-fashioned tradition, but that's just the way things are. Period, dot. the man of the house gets to plate first. And it has nothing to do with getting the portions first, getting the food fresher. It's just the way things are taught in my family anyway. I'm not going to say that's how it's supposed to be, but that's how I know. And it's just out of respect. You understand that the man of the house, who is supposed to be provider, gets fed first, period, dot. Everybody's going to get fed, but he gets to play first because he's bringing in the bread.
What if his broke ass ain't working?
Yeah, that's
it's same like a lion tribe.
If his broke ass ain't working, though, you know.
But on top of that too, like,
lion
well,
tribes.
not all guys are like this, but just in today's generation, everything is more equal now. You know, like, so he still gets the plate first, even though he's not like the sole provider.
It's equal. So I understand it's equal, but when it comes down to it, like, the one that is gonna carry the weight of the family 9 times out of 10, if it's the man, then he should be the one getting that plate first. Just again, kind of backing on what Losa said, like where I was raised, my dad was fucking that was the top don. Like that's pop.
That's
you
the
don't
man.
go against
You don't
pop.
mess with.
Yeah.
You don't even touch the food yet until fucking he get his plate first. So that's just how that was.
Our family too.
Yep.
Because like in Okinawa, we have a strong culture of man first kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This is just our culture and a custom that we follow. So even today, we just serve him first, but doesn't mean he's gonna eat first. We always sit down together and eat together.
That makes
sense. Yeah, that makes
We start eating, we don't eat. We just wait and to serve. And we had a strong. He's a really classic man. He had all the rules, how to use chopsticks, how to use that.
Like
He
fresh
just
shower.
always been taught how to eat. Like we don't just eat individual. We always eat with a family together.
That
was
whole
like,
tribal thing.
yeah,
And to get back to what you were saying, it doesn't matter if their incomes are different or she makes more than him or whatever, if he's not the sole provider, period, dot. I think that in relationships, period, your significant other comes before your children. And that is a thing that a lot of people don't agree with, but that's just how I've been raised.
Yeah.
That's what I believe. Your significant other comes first.
They was there first.
Like, what was the scenario? I think they said, in a fire, who do you save first, your kids or your wife? And I said wife. You can always have more kids. You know what I'm saying? That's your soulmate. That's your rib. That's the way that I've been taught. Not everybody agrees with that. And they always say, no, I'm going to save my kids first. Yeah, I get that. But the way I've been taught is your significant other comes
even
first.
airplanes
Period.
put on the save vest first on you and kids.
Mhm.
Yeah, you first.
Save yourself first.
Yeah.
Save yourself first, then the kid. Then put the mask on the kid.
Yeah.
I thought,
But you know me, I'm always on the opposite of
that.
what.
She should have shared that door with Jack and Titanic. That was
right,
That's what I'm saying now. I
right.
know.
she saved herself, but she
just let him die.
He could have fit on the damn door.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, that's always.
On a damn door. Yeah.
But welcome, Habichuela.
That movie was so long.
I'm glad you
though.
could be here. So since you walked in a little late, I'm going to ask you the question. Who do you think should be served the first plate in a household, the man or the children?
The man.
Oh, please pass her a mic. I want to hear why, because everybody has different reasons for why.
So I say this from coming from how my mom used to talk to me when I was younger, because I used to always be, and I have always been a very opinionated person, especially since I was little. And my mom would always be like I would always say, why is dad always first? Like, I think I even asked questions like, why is it that you serve him first? Like, I've been sitting at the table first, waiting, and then he just sat down, and I have yet to get a plate. And she said that. She said, at the end of the day, the person that's going to stay with you is your spouse, and your kids will grow and leave your home. And so to her, that's why they always come first. And I never understood that until I got older. And I'm like, wow, I don't even live with my mom anymore. He's still there. He's still taking care of her and all that. So it's worth it. It does make sense. And it didn't make me feel less loved or anything like that. It's just priorities. And I think the spouse always comes first.
And I think it also furnishes that it furnishes the love as being the spouse. It furnishes the love towards your significant other. So it's like kind of what Habichuela was saying. It's just Habichuela.
You're good.
Thank you. But no, it's going back to like once your kids are gone, your kids are gone. Who you're gonna continue to give your love to? Your spouse. So it should be made an example by giving that plate, and that way your children see it and they know what to do when they get married or so on and so forth.
I hear a lot of those complaints. Of course, I'm not married, but I know a lot of married people who have children, and they said that as soon as they had kids, all the intimacy died. The attention goes to kids first all the time. That's not
my
wrong
parents.
completely,
No.
but
My
it's
parents
hard
are still
for
freaks.
parents to balance, their intimate time and
I think it's natural
their
for it
kids'
to
time.
happen.
Yeah, it
You
happens.
Think about it. That child came out of you, so I feel like naturally they incline
Right.
to doing that. But I think it's important to remember to not take away from what even created that child. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? So
Yep.
Boat trip.
So
I like
are
your
we?
hat and your outfit. You look cute. Y'all with hats and shit. I didn't get them.
So
I
cute.
I have to. My hair is trash. So I'm glad we got that topic out of the way because I wasn't gonna write in the message. I just feel like that's a discussion we have to have. But the topic that we were gonna discuss today was dating outside of your culture. We talked about this, I think maybe 2 times before, but we didn't have you
Send me a message.
or you here. So it'll be good to hear what you guys think.
I've been literally thinking about it the whole drive here.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, I don't even know how to really feel about that.
Were you here for one of
Yeah,
them?
because he just
I
sent me a
said, what was
message.
I?
I didn't meet you yet.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't think you were a part of the cast yet. So,
happened?
how do you all feel about dating outside of your culture? Do you do it? What are your viewpoints on it?
As
What does it
far
matter?
as what do you just mean like ethnicity or do you mean
Just
like
outside of your culture, a different culture. Period. Dot.
I've dated outside of my race. Now outside of my religion, I have not done that because I feel like if you have different religious beliefs, then it's not
It's
gonna
hard.
it's gonna clash real bad because they believe one thing and you believe the other. You're not gonna agree with something they partake in their religion. They might not agree with something you partake in your religion. I just feel like that's harder. Now ethnicity, I don't think it matters because everyone is like the same pretty much. Like we're all humans. We all have personalities, characteristics. You just have to match whether or not that person is compatible with you or not. It doesn't matter if they're black, white, Hispanic, Italian, whatever.
What do you think, Habichuela?
So, I've actually never really dated a Hispanic, which is crazy because a lot of Hispanics, especially the ones in the Caribbean,
y'all usually
and even people in Central America and South America, they believe in very similar things as far as religion goes and how families are structured. And interestingly, I used to be married to a white person, so that we clashed a lot. Especially it didn't have to deal with religion, but how she was brought up and how I was brought up, and that dictated our dynamic in the household, and it made it very difficult for us to even understand each other and our differences and how we dealt with certain things because of our upbringings. But as far as somebody completely foreign, like that we can't even speak the same language. I've never done it, and I don't know how people do it. I feel like it creates some type of disconnect. But if y'all work hard on trying to understand each other, maybe understanding each other's language, and I don't know, it's really difficult. I feel like you're a great person to explain that portion of it as far as that language barrier, because I feel like that's big. Like, I'm huge on communication. If I can't tell you and get through you
They learn.
what's wrong, I know they learn, but at first, how do you...
Text message.
Okay, so
I mean, it's
I
a
think it's
matter
hard,
it's
but
a
it's
matter of
doable.
being, if you're a patient person, and again, like knowing that the biggest thing is going to be communication. I mean, that's as long as you're willing to absorb that and be open-minded. A lot of people are not as open-minded, and that's why they don't have the time date outside their race or their culture. For me, it doesn't matter. Like, people are people. I was brought up in a military family, and all we did was travel. So most of my friends were freaking Chinese, Japanese, Hispanic, African. Like, United Nations was my friend. Like I had a whole bunch of type of friends. So I didn't grow up with that dynamic of, oh, you should only date this race, or this is what I'm just attracted to, is just this type of culture, so on and so forth. But like for me and my wife, for us, it was more so just finding out like what did we have in common. She liked Chick-fil-A, I like Chick-fil-A. Freaking.
That's
She
cute.
knew about Fruitopia, I knew about Fruitopia. So just certain things click that you didn't think would
Fruitopia.
click, and it makes
Oh, did you-
it makes that more interesting, and the dating process with that, it grows. So
Some people
and she wasn't Christian at first. She went to a Christian college, but she wasn't Christian. But when she came and visited my parents, she actually got saved and everything at our church. So that was a beautiful dynamic to watch. To see that pattern grow.
I like what Habituela said, because a lot of people oftentimes forget what culture actually is, and you touched on it. I'm gonna read the definition from Merriam-Webster, and it says the culture is the integrated Oh, jeez, I just lost the definition. It says the integrated pattern of human knowledge, belief, and behavior that depends upon the capacity for learning and transmitting knowledge to succeeding generations. So technically, you are dating outside of your culture when you date me, because I believe that the man gets served first and you don't. So technically, it's even that small. You know what I mean? So if we were brought up, well, you were brought up in a military family, I was not. So if you were to date a female that was a civilian first, then you're technically,
different cultures.
regardless of race, dating outside of your culture. Yeah. And a lot of people forget that it's even that small.
I always date outside of my culture,
It's
dude.
like a-
Technically, right?
like,
Always.
Some people don't know how to even open up to the others because most people have a trust issue or something like that. So when it's come down to it, for any kind of relationship, it's all about communication. Even we have a cultural difference. Hey, let's talk about, because we think, men should be served first. You don't think so, but if you can, talk about it and share opinions to understand to a certain degree, then you share something different, but it's not gonna be argument. But some people just
compromise.
don't know how to
Compromise, yeah.
talk or
That's the
explain.
biggest thing is compromise. Yeah.
Some people are too stubborn and say, no, that's what I said. That's it. This is how it is. Oh,
Lotus'
I'm
head is
oh,
like
wow.
never compromise.
Well, he does, though.
They call it
No.
adjustment.
He's like, let me look that up.
We already been on this. I'm not even gonna get on my tangent.
So for me, I was born and raised in Puerto Rico, and our culture is very religious based, and everything we do is structured. And so although Puerto Ricans are very mixed, and there's a little bit of everything, I wasn't exposed to other races growing up at all, or any other culture, anything different, nothing. Everything was the same. Everybody almost thought the same way. And then when I moved to Texas, San Antonio, I got to see, I got to see all kinds of people, all kinds of lifestyles, cultures, and stuff like that. So it took a minute for me to become open-minded, to even consider, dating people who didn't even think how I thought, how my family thought, how, marriage was viewed. So, and then suddenly I just snapped out of that, and I became extremely open-minded, and even my family had a hard time with it, seeing who I was dating and who I was with, people who don't even...
Oh, that's tough.
Who don't even, think the way my family does. So, but then I taught them, and then they became open-minded, and then now we all kind of understand each other. So,
How old were you when you moved to Texas?
I was about to turn 11. It was like 9 days before that.
That's
yeah.
perfect.
Did you speak Spanish up until then? Or?
Yeah, I didn't speak any English at all, so I just spoke Spanish. So that was another thing. And then me being attracted to people who don't even speak Spanish, I'm like, dang, this sucks, because then, like, if I want to marry them, and, like, they can't speak Spanish, and then, like, my kids, like, what's going on?
Was it hard?
Yeah, it was hard. But then over time, I became open-minded, and I thought it wasn't an issue, so.
That kind of what makes the relationship, like, very interesting, though. It's like, especially when you have difference in languages. Like, for me and my wife, it's like she's teaching me Japanese. I show her, different things as far as English, like, especially being military, I think she developed the whole cursing habit from me. So I'm proud to give her that. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
So do you
She
feel
goes
like
around calling people boot. So.
do you feel like dating outside of your culture is necessary, like mandatory?
At least once.
It's not mandatory.
wouldn't say
I think it's
mandatory.
I think it's
it's a
mandatory.
beautiful thing for the
Mandatory,
sake
I'd
of
say it's
humanity.
necessary.
I think it's
I
mandatory.
I think it's necessary.
I don't think it's mandatory.
At least
I'm
once.
think it's
choosing
mandatory.
I'm choosing
I'm
that
not saying
word.
I'm not saying being closed-minded about people, but I'm just saying it's not mandatory for you to
I'm not saying
be
you
outside
must.
your
Yes.
But
yeah.
I'm saying
I
it would
think
be
you
a good
must.
idea. I mean, it's just
I mean,
like when
yeah,
you
it's a
apply
good
for
idea,
It's better
but
for the world
You
today.
not.
be well-rounded.
I can be alone on that. I can be alone on that. I want yeah, I want yeah. I think that it is
When they say that shit,
absolutely
I'm like, yo, what the fuck behooves that story?
absolutely
It'll behoove
mandatory.
you.
I didn't even spell that.
I think it's a beautiful thing, especially when both parties eventually start understanding each other and knowing each other's differences, and don't expect each other to change their upbringing and their culture for each other. Like when they start, which is where I go back to compromise, when it starts working and y'all understand each other. Because I'm telling you, my ex and I were polar opposites. But when we were good, it worked, and we respected that. We respected each other's differences and didn't make each other feel bad. Like, oh, you like that kind of music? Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like,
It can
we never did that to each other.
Cussed out like
talking
that.
about like what Queen was saying, like when it comes to religion, like I'm very, very big on my relationship with God. So like for me, when it comes to you're dating first and then you want to move it to we're possibly thinking about making this a serious thing and possibly get married, biblically, you know, I would be wrong in had I married my wife, you know, early on before she, you know, got saved and everything. You know, according to the Bible, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do it outside. Blah blah blah. But I mean, it goes back to how much you love that person, how much you're willing to compromise with that person, and be with that person to kind of not sway them towards what you need to, but just like, hey, look, you be open-minded to this, I'll be open-minded to this. We'll see where it goes. You know?
Especially we living on a small island. A lot of people like we grown up in a happy place. So for people, we like good heart, but the other side, they're ignorant as hell. Like they don't know how to live. Like they're spoiled in a way. I was like, the world is like rough and tough out there, but like Okinawan people, they're good people, but a lot of people don't know how to like survive in the world. So a lot of people like don't hardly speak English, but they're like, oh, I'm gonna get married with this guy and go to the States. I'm like, you have like, like you know, like those American you meet here is not even like American. Like they could be so rude and harsh and everything, and you don't even know how to process your paperwork on your own because you don't know how to read the website in English, and you're trying to move there. I'm like, you know what are you getting into? And a lot of people don't know how to like literally survive because they're always living with the parents until they get married. So those household skills. And a lot of things.
Is that the thing out here? People stay home
Yeah,
until they get married?
Yeah, they stay in the house.
A lot of people don't know how to.
That's like
pay
Asia period.
Rent or pay the bills and how much money coming in and out. They those skills they don't have.
That's why I love motels be popping.
Yep.
Dang.
Big business, yo. Big business around here.
But for mandatory, I would say like Korea. I think Japan needed those military system as well, like 2 years to look at like, the dude on the mainland. They are so skinny and then like how skinny they are as I don't know, good looking, whatever that it is. Like they look so feminine. So I always think if an international cause happen, who's gonna protect us? Because we really have a big military system in Japan.
Hey, you heard Kevin Hart. He said if he's with you and you get slapped, you just got slapped. There's some dudes out here like that.
I'm saying that like I don't know.
That is weird. Like the women out here are a lot tougher than the men, and that's weird.
But what if just the amount of veterans that are here living on their own like decide to join the Japanese forces in case of when we still whoop ass because of those veterans, yo. Like, you know what I mean?
That would be funny.
That they'll be like generals in no time or some shit.
We don't have, those.
That'd be crazy.
We don't have a basement. We don't really have a supply if anything happened, like water or nothing, because we don't have that kind of education that are growing up. We have skill for tsunami.
They still live in the 60s.
For the women that do step out of their comfort zone and that weren't brought up to be ready for the real thing, and then they just take that big leap and go to the United States with their significant other, I applaud them, honestly, because that's a scary thing to do, especially if they don't know anything, and they'll grow. And hopefully if their partner provides them that knowledge that they need and helps them grow,
hopefully,
then that's a beautiful thing. And again, that takes me back to how he says it's a mandatory thing. I just think it's beneficial to humanity as a whole. People need to get outside their comfort zone and be exposed to other things that they're not used to, because it's never it's never comfortable to try something new, and that's why people get scared of it and they get complacent. So it's always good to just step out of their comfort zone and do something different.
So the reason why I say that dating outside of your culture is absolutely mandatory is because if you don't, you're going to miss out on worlds of opportunity to learn things. I'm not going to say it's a necessity. I'm going to say it is a must. You absolutely need to. I've learned so much more about dating outside of my culture than I would have ever known if I just stuck to what my family was expecting of me and just sticking to what I know. So I say it's mandatory. Try it.
That's the harsh part to see sometimes is when your family holds you back like that, because like, I think half of my family not doing that.
Some naughty questions.
Some naughty questions. Do you have one?
No,
because we have a great structure of the show.
Today.
So what you got?
I got some questions.
I know, right?
Hold on. Pull up the site.
Ain't even ready. You're gonna interject to change the subject.
Oh, he already know. He's
gonna take
and don't have.
I just said.
No,
I said I'm going to the questions.
It's been 30 minutes of just like serious talk.
Oh yeah, what's wrong with that? Because the next question I was gonna ask was, can you actually fully fall in love with somebody that speaks a different language with you?
Oh, that's too tough.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
People say yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I say no.
Love is more than just
it's more
physical
than just
or verbal. It's like.
I disagree though.
I'm a little
It don't matter.
love bug when it comes to love shit.
So you
I'm
say
a
yes.
romantic.
I don't know.
You
I don't
say
feel like
yes.
you could fully connect with the language barrier.
Dang, we finally
y'all-
agree on
when
something.
y'all-
Oh my
that
god,
is
what is
cute.
that's crazy. That's a first.
Nah,
It's
but
an ultimate role
if you
play.
learn it, I mean,
Yeah, you go through the
geez.
questions.
Hang on.
But you know how long it takes to learn a language, especially
It took me
when
like
you're
a
not,
year
when
to be
you're
able to
older.
even talk with somebody. Just a year
Well,
to just at least
I
know
never
the
even
That's
learned
what
the
I'm
language,
saying
but
though.
I can
Like when you
communicate.
when you're not a kid, because kids learn so much easier than like a full
an
grown
adult.
adult.
I understand, but if
It's
you're
so much
consistently
harder.
exposed to it, though,
Yeah.
if you're with
Language
them
is a
every
talent.
single
Alright.
day and you have to do it.
So
you'll learn
this is why I feel like dating outside of your culture and falling in love with somebody is almost impossible, is because we speak the same language and everybody else in here speaks English. Why do we still have misunderstandings if we speak the same language? You know
You
what
and
I mean?
her?
You can only imagine, not us personally, but just in general. If you say something to somebody, the way they interpret it, even though it's in the same language, could mean something different.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine that in two different
Yeah,
tones.
it's
You know what I'm
obviously
saying?
even tougher for
That's
her.
for me. If you can't really understand what I mean and the way I'm referring it, no matter how I break it down to you and I use as many words as I can in English, if you don't speak English and if that's not your native tongue, you're
I
really not
understand
going to
you.
fully grasp.
Yeah, I
that's
understand.
you. But that's
I
because,
understand you. I got you.
yeah,
Got you, homie.
it's just certain people don't understand fully. Like if I were to talk to somebody and say just anything at all that you disagree with and me trying to rationalize that, it's going to be some kind of
Yeah, I can
gray
imagine trying to
area.
do that with somebody who doesn't even.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, why do you do things this way? And I do things this way because I was brought up blah, 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 blah. And they're like, oh, okay. And you don't even know what they're thinking. You don't even know what they received out of what you just said because they speak a different language. They probably process it differently.
You look for
You know what I mean?
Let
So-
me tell you, because I'm a teacher,
Mhm.
so language
that's
is a
interesting.
talent. Like, you know, some people are good at drawing. Because I practice, I'll never be good at drawing like, you know, some artist is. But language, like, just because you put so much time and effort in it, some people are not good at it. Like, their brain is not meant to be learning that language. Some language they can learn, but Japanese, like, a lot of people are having trouble. Some people pick it up real quick, and like in 3 months they be fluent. But some people take like 3 years to get to
Yeah, everybody
her
learns
or
different.
his level. So it's like really a talent thing.
Those Africans in mainland be learning language quick as shit.
Because they use both sides of their
They be
brain.
selling it, say they're
I wouldn't say
American.
it's impossible for two people to fall in love without, you know, or with them having a different language, you know, and the language barrier. Like, it's more based on like that again, like going back to earlier discussions that we've had in past shows, it's that choice to love a person. And granted, like, even though if my wife isn't gonna if she's not understanding something fully the way I'm saying it, then I need to understand what she doesn't understand about it and see if I can delve down to her level to where, okay, if you're not understanding it the way I'm bringing it to you, let me understand how you might bring it to me with whatever it is, and then I can conjure it up and come up with my own conclusion. Either way, like, it's not just language that makes you fall in love with a person. It's the chemistry that you have, the physical interaction, and even when there's language, there's interpersonal communication to where someone's body language, you can still understand what they're saying regardless of whether you don't actually understand what's coming out of their mouth. It's like a lot of times when I see my wife having conversations with her friends, they're speaking really, really fast, and I may not understand every single thing that they're saying, but based upon their tone, based upon their body language, based upon whatever they're doing with their hand gestures, I can get a guess as to, oh, y'all are talking
That's
about
how I've
this.
been getting by for
Like,
years.
that's how I do it.
Uh-huh.
And that's
Yes.
that's
I just need one word that I understand.
Exactly. I'm
Body
like,
language.
And I can put it all together.
Bet, y'all talking about Justin Bieber.
I can say, oh,
Hey, what's up,
I want
Iggy?
These 2 things on top of the refrigerator, and then they were like, oh, someone asked that person to do it, and I'll be like, here you go. And they'd be like, how'd you know? I was like, I'm psychic.
I was listening.
Yeah, I'd rather not guess.
And all I understood was you ask him, and then 2 boxes, and I'd be like,
What's good, yo? What's good?
then they're like all nervous and shit, like looking at me, and I'm like, they're gonna ask me.
Takashi, did you have something you wanted to ask?
Oh, no. I didn't. I handed
So
the question
nasty.
off to him.
Did y'all find something?
Did we
I
find
know.
the question?
I don't know.
What's the ultimate role play?
He
Okay,
left
well,
me
what's
what's
the
all
ultimate
these
role play?
questions that were just weak as fuck. I was just like,
was just-
ultimate role play?
Yeah.
Oh my
We've
God,
talked
he's
about
That's
reaching.
not gonna be the same thing for everyone's.
Yeah,
like somebody's perfect role play could be totally different from someone.
Well,
Just
that's
pick something
why.
else.
That's why I'm asking the
Why? So
question.
you get a piece of everybody.
Yeah.
So what's your that's
Skipping this question.
You
why?
gonna get a piece of everybody. She can get a piece of me.
Roleplay.
Chill.
I mean, most dudes is cliche, like, oh, I like a
Not
nurse,
yet, man.
you
Not
know?
yet.
Like, I'm not that guy, but I've heard that from most guys, like, or the teacher.
So y'all gonna for real go through with that question?
I'm not really,
Nah,
I'm about to say
man.
that question's like.
That's a weak
Pick another
question.
I'm
question.
really big on role play like that.
I like this. I like sitting back and letting someone else bring the topics. I'm waiting.
Well,
Let me-
anyways, I seen this post on Facebook, guys, and it was a picture of this little boy, and he had beautiful long hair, and it had it cut off, and then the picture caption was like, "If you brought your son to your husband's house."
Is this
or-
another baby
Is that
haircut
the
story?
question?
Yeah.
God, man.
You already asked.
She's passionate. She's passionate about.
Yeah,
hair, clearly.
me and her got into it that day. I remember.
Yeah.
But this time it's a boy, so it's different. It's not a girl.
It's the same thing.
It's the same
It's
thing.
equality, man.
Yeah.
Look
No,
at my
but
kids.
no, but it doesn't have anything.
They're
to
both
do
winners,
with,
man.
Don't touch my
Out of
son's
1 million sperm, they
Well,
both
it's,
made
no,
it.
it's not about having another
should've
person
swallowed.
cut the person's hair. It's the
didn't swallow
picture
yet.
saying if you sent your son to your husband's house and your husband cut your son's hair without your permission, would you be upset?
No.
Well, I wouldn't have a husband.
I learned from my last
Well,
experience. I'm not
yeah.
saying no.
Yeah, I remember what you said.
Why? You don't like to be on the opposing side?
No, it's not
No,
that. It's
y'all,
just
Talk
like-
to the boy.
do y'all ever
Your
talk about
profession-
cheating in this show?
If my
Have y'all
wife is
talked
not,
about
if
cheating?
her
Yeah.
profession is not
Okay.
being a barber,
Let's do it.
and you don't cut the damn hair.
Oh,
leave
let's
it
do
here.
it.
Yeah, let's talk
Or
about
she
it.
goes to cut his hair.
Hey, Jen
like,
said
gets his hair
hello,
cut.
everybody.
Hola,
Maybe not
Jen.
necessarily hair.
Hola, Jen. What up,
No.
South Africa?
So how do you feel about it since you brought it up?
Not discuss it.
I was about to say I would want a discussion first. Don't just go
Basically.
make a impulse decision, especially if the kid didn't ask for the hair to be
Consulted.
cut. Yeah, it should be consulted.
Was he
first,
crying in the
opinion.
photo?
He looked upset,
See?
like he didn't want his hair
Yeah.
cut.
See?
Who cares?
Or what? Who cares?
All right, I have a question.
He's not
So-
18 yet.
If you get cheated on by your significant other, what would you do? Do you forgive them and stay with them and work it out, or do you leave and walk out?
How long
of
have
it?
we been dating?
Is this the first
It
time?
doesn't
Oh,
matter.
Dump him.
I seen a
Basically,
meme.
gotta add all the
whatever you think,
variables in
give
this.
both.
I seen a
whatever
meme
you
like
want.
this
That
today,
was my
this
question.
week.
Like whatever stipulations you have, or whatever your standards are, or whatever makes you make your decision, you can express that.
I'm
I'll dump
staying.
him. But
You'll dump him?
circumstances, if he, I don't know, we're in a long distance relationship, or I don't know, but circumstances, but I'll dump him. If it's just because it happened, I was so drunk, I'm in the street.
Even
and
if
I
y'all
just
been together
went-
for years.
Yeah, because I always have to doubt and suspicion about him
Yeah.
going out, because I want my man to do whatever he want and wherever he want to go, anything.
You wanna
because
be able to
I
trust
don't
him.
trust him.
Yeah.
But once he betrayed me, then I don't know how long it take for me to trust him again.
Yeah.
And I don't want to doubt my man. So it's like he's gonna roll, or I gotta roll.
I'm staying.
You're staying? Why is that?
I'm staying because I'm not shocked. When someone cheats on someone, that's not a surprise to me
Okay.
by
you
any
expect
means.
the
I have zero
unexpected.
expectations. You see this tattoo? It says trust no one. You
That
know
is
what I'm
true.
saying? That's
You
just
can't
how I
ever
look.
trust anybody.
So
So
if someone were to cheat on me, I would not be surprised. I would not be angry. People do whatever they want to do.
But
Period.
would you
dot.
be done with them?
No.
But you
would stay
gotta
with
think
them.
about
Yeah.
everything that went into it, depending on the type of cheating. Like if you've been lied to the entire time, like if it was like a one-time thing where it's just it
Still not a
happened.
surprise to me.
Okay, so you would still stay with that
Yeah,
person.
100%.
That's interesting.
To me,
think-
hold
I
on,
think-
before we leave, I like to dig into why.
Right.
I'm more of that person. What was the reason behind your cheating? What was it
Exactly.
Yeah.
was it something that I wasn't doing, or did you just do what you wanted just because you felt
So you
like
think
it?
it's
know what I'm saying?
justifiable?
If there's understanding that can be
Yeah.
that can be accomplished.
100%.
Then definitely.
Interesting.
I seen
100%.
Yeah, we got Jen on the line over here too. She's just connected
Jen.
with Chris.
I
Can
would-
you-
I
can
would-
you-
Hey, how are you? What's
Jen,
going on?
we love you. We miss you.
Word. What up?
Word.
I missed y'all. What do you mean?
Opposite? Okay.
Well, yeah, please go. Please go ahead. I
Yeah,
heard
go
you.
ahead.
I heard you saying
Oh.
something.
I would. I mean, kind of going with Losa. It would be more so like if she's wanting to stay with me, I'm gonna stay. If she doesn't, I'm gonna let her go.
Okay.
I agree.
Point blank.
What were you
Kind
gonna
of the
say?
same thing. Like it's unexpected. If it's unexpected, I'm not gonna be mad about it.
Oh, she cheat on me?
I would
I just want
stay.
understanding.
But if it's like a reoccurring thing, like you just doing this shit because you want to do it, you just feel like, oh, I got my swag, I'm going to get this bitch, I'm going to get that bitch, then it's not going to be a repeated thing. But like, I definitely the first time I would stay. Second time, I don't know, it'd be like depending on the situation, but I'm not going to let it keep recurring.
Okay.
Oh.
I'm
Jen look
stuck.
like she's
I
in
don't
a
even
prison
know how
cell.
I truly feel about that.
Well, I mean,
She look like you look like she in a prison.
I'm not in a prison
The
cell.
cement
Listen
ceiling.
to
Where's
you.
your jumpsuit?
I want to
I
hear
didn't see
what
this.
I want to hear what Habituela says.
But I have to say,
Yeah, of course you
So
brought the
what
topic
y'all
up.
didn't know was, no, I'm just joking.
What did you do?
So please.
I didn't do
So-
anything. I didn't do anything.
For me, I think it
But
depends.
no, you guys were talking about cheating. I'm listening.
Yeah. Go
I
ahead.
think it depends. So like because I've been cheated on and I have also done the same, where it's solely physical, and I have not at one point considered leaving my significant other for anybody else. Same for the other person. They've cheated on me and they've never considered leaving me for that person. So I think in that sense, I would consider staying with them and working on whatever we got to work on and getting past it. And yes, it would create trust issues, but if you really want each other, you will work on rebuilding that trust, although it will never truly be the same. However, I think it makes it extremely difficult when it's an emotional type of cheating, where they consider being with that person over you, and they can't let that person go emotionally, and it's just like never gonna go away. In that sense, I don't want to force you to stay with me if you're already considering leaving me in the first place. Like if you don't want to be with me, don't be with me, and I'll put it straight.
That's
like
why I
that.
agree with what
And then
Terrence
you just
said.
walk away, and you don't have to stay with me. But if it's physical, I mean, it's fucked up. And I will never justify cheating. I don't care what the reasons were. But I will definitely consider forgiving and working on it. I just will never justify it. I would never tell you, oh, you know what, it's okay you cheated because of X, Y, and Z. No. Like, you shouldn't have done it in the first place. If it's a reoccurring thing, then no, we're not going to keep doing this. It's pointless.
If it's
You're not
reoccurring, it's
respecting
like,
my forgiveness at all. And if you're not respecting me, what's the point of us being together?
True.
Yeah,
Amen.
Word.
Will, you ain't saying nothing. You didn't say anything on this topic.
Facts.
I wouldn't. I don't think I can forget as a person. I mean, can you forget? Yeah, but
Oh, I won't forget.
I can see-
I'm too petty. I won't forget.
I can forgive.
I
I can
was
definitely
saying-
forgive.
I can't
But to
forget.
forget,
It's
that shit's
easier
hard.
to forgive than to forget.
Yeah.
You always remember,
yeah, always.
but
it don't matter if you
it's
say I
easier
promise.
to forgive.
You know, it is way easier to forgive because the only thing you can control is those things. So
Exactly.
you can't forget shit though, because if one little thing triggers something like, hey, 1 missed call, 2 missed calls, 3 missed calls, and then all of a sudden you're like,
Oh, they're doing it again.
you know what I mean? You
Yeah.
can't help that. That's your instinct.
What do you
looking at the
do at
phone?
that
You
point?
looking
though?
at the
Like,
phone
when-
like
so
that?
like so assume you're still with that
You do the
individual.
whole every time
and
she's
you
on
start
like
getting
this.
those lynches, you know, like
You looking at the phone like that though?
No. What?
Oh.
The fuck you mean?
You
look at
said
the phone?
you said 1, 2, 3, 4.
I
5
think
missed
I think
calls.
for me
Saying,
after
like,
I think if
you
they show
calling
those signs
her
again,
Oh.
I
5, 6
don't
times.
really think about the person. I'm just like, oh, that's what you're doing. All right, cool. I'm gonna go do me then.
Damn. 6 missed calls.
I'm gonna go have some
It's an
fun.
expression.
That sounds
I don't mean
unhealthy.
Exactly 6 calls.
But if
I
you're
was like,
willing to
damn,
work it
that's
out,
a-
it's like you shouldn't be. It's natural. It's okay for you to be freaking out, but you shouldn't be
Yeah.
pushing them and start assuming shit all the time because it's gonna lead to toxicness.
But me personally, I
Yeah.
feel like you shouldn't be missing that many calls unless you're doing something.
Thank you.
Busy.
Thank you, my
Like,
man.
you know,
Or
What?
if
Thank
you're
you, my
always
man.
on your fucking
Oh,
phone
what?
that's
and
what
you're
I'm
not
saying.
doing anything, like I know
Murphy's
you're
law.
not doing anything.
Murphy's law. It's a law.
Oh my
It's
God.
a law, all right? So it's
Well,
been
if I had to go to
proven.
security
If something is
room,
meant to
I leave my
happen,
phone
it's
outside,
meant
so
to
you can
happen.
call me
Something
a-
bad meant to happen is meant to happen.
agree.
So,
But
like,
I
the
agree.
moment you
Wrong.
call in those 8 times, it just so happens the phone has been not in anywhere in my vicinity for that 20, 30 minutes,
some
an
people
hour.
be
doing
So,
some
like,
dumb shit.
Or what
yeah,
if phone
some
died?
people.
Yeah,
But
what if
like,
phone died?
then, you know, the first time I see missed calls, I'm like, oh shit, you know what I mean? Because it's
Oh, I
like,
turned
yo,
it
what the
off.
fuck, man? I can't believe I missed all these calls and shit. So it's not like
that's why iPhone got
You know,
smart. They
it's all-
and have
all
responses like right there. Wait, hold up, can't call right now.
But it's
Just shit.
different though,
Oh,
especially
go.
when you know that person be on their phone and they don't let
All
their
the
phone go.
time.
Well, if they
Yeah,
at work,
and
though.
then-
Totally different.
Like I'm one of those people.
And then
if
you
I
go
don't
on
text you back,
IG.
it's like I probably just
You go on
didn't feel
IG and
like
it's they active. You know, the girls be like little stupid shit like that.
oh,
Oh,
Okay,
you've been
that's the
active
worst
3
when
minutes
you're trying to
ago.
get a hold of somebody.
I messaged
then
you and you
they're
weren't
on-
active.
They're active on social media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come
I don't
like,
know.
oh,
I just
you-
feel like if your significant other calls you more than like twice and they're calling you like back to back, obviously it's something urgent or something they need to talk to you about.
Or it
or
could
whatever
not
the case
be.
may
It could, or it could not be.
most
What if
of
you're
the
what if
time,
you're on the
most of
side?
the
What if
time.
what if you're the cheater? Like, I mean,
Well, guilty.
What does it
conscience
matter
is
though?
really
Like,
good
why
at
you have to
heavy
call
on
them like that
something.
many times
But
anyways,
I'm
or
saying, like,
him
if
or
you
her?
have time to post something on Facebook or Instagram and not picking up my phone,
I disagree.
Yeah,
I disagree.
At the end of the day, you
Some
make
people
time
just
for
don't wanna
people
talk.
you care about.
sometimes you just don't want to be bothered.
Yeah.
You just don't want to
Period.
talk to nobody.
Yep.
If
Like,
you make time
Let
for
me
the things
let me
you
just
care
set.
about.
Hold on.
period.
Time out. Let me just set the record
This is
straight
my
right
nigga
now.
thought process
Hold on.
right here. If I don't want to talk, I don't want to talk.
Pause. Thank you, DJM, for saying that bullshit. Because I'm ready to squash all of this to every person who is listening to this shit. Period. Dot. Just because somebody is active on social media does not mean they want to talk to your dumbass. Period. Dot.
I agree.
Yes.
People
We hold our phones most of the time.
No, I'm saying,
I
like,
have an
you-
Apple Watch. If I don't answer my phone on the third time, I don't want to talk to you.
But if you're my
Get the
boyfriend,
message, you know?
right?
I'm not.
I say,
Come
I
on
want to
now.
talk to you, but still tell you that, hey, I'm in my mood or whatever. Can I hit you back up later?
No.
It's a,
Nope.
I think it's out of respect.
Nope.
No.
You're just gonna let it slide.
Self-containment.
Like, okay,
Word.
you
You're gonna say some
Yeah,
stupid
I
shit.
think,
Adults.
I think it goes
Like-
both ways.
You know why? Because I guess people.
goes both ways.
Yeah,
You
people are
begging
just
for
so impatient.
communication.
Because
Yeah,
if I
begging
have
for
to respond to
communication.
you to let you know how I feel, then you're going to respond back. And then what if I leave you on red the second time? Then it's like, oh, you don't want to speak about it with me. You know, like so it's just like
No,
nah.
if
Yeah,
I don't,
you
if
open
I don't
up
have
a
the
can of
time,
worms that you didn't want to open up.
shit.
I hate man shall
hold
But
on.
I think this is where you have to know your partner,
Right.
though. Like, it's
Yeah.
really important to know the person
Yeah, if
you're
y'all are
dealing
typically
with.
talking all the time and you start suddenly ignoring,
Yeah, that's a big
that's
clue.
that's a little
Things
flag.
if things change like that, like the attention you're
Yeah.
getting and the way you know.
That's true.
It's different.
That's different.
But for me, if I don't feel like I have the time to dedicate to talk to you, I'm not gonna start the conversation. I'm not gonna start and respond to maybe 2 and then leave you on red for 3 days. I'm not. If I don't have the
Damn.
time to sit down and talk to you,
Red on 3
I'm not
days.
answering.
3 days, bro.
I'm being exactly
I know, I'm
like
just kidding.
you know
no, I've done
dramatic,
that. I've
but
taken like 3 days to
Yeah,
respond to people.
but-
Like,
I'll give you the time. If you tell me, hey, I just want to think about it. Okay, hit me
3
back up
days.
when
No.
you
Fucking
know,
think about it for
whatever.
3 days.
3 to 5
Yeah,
like
but
what Fly said.
sometimes
3 to 5
it's
business
like that
days to
personal.
respond.
If you say you need time to yourself,
You sound
you know,
like
when you
Fly,
say you
so-
need time to yourself, sometimes people take it personal. Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
you don't, you know what I mean? And
Well,
so
what did I
sometimes
do
it's
to you?
easier not to respond. And
I can't
that's
deny
why
I've been
people
that
don't
person that
respond,
takes
because they
it
don't wanna
personal,
explain
though.
themselves.
People
Is
take
it okay?
personal.
Is it okay to tell them like there's nothing wrong with the relationship, but it's like, oh, I just need some time to miss you. Like you believe in that shit?
Yeah,
I
100%.
actually, yep. I just heard some dumb shit like that yesterday.
100%.
I wanna
Not
miss you.
said like that.
Yeah,
No,
we've
but
been-
it's
we've been
I
in each
literally
other's
got
space too
told
much.
something like that yesterday. Same lines. I just want to miss you.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to miss you. I'm like,
that is a thing.
that's interesting.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
And I
One
respect
at a
that.
time
I
now.
respect that
Yo,
they're honest.
let's just set the
Yeah,
record straight.
but
Women
That's
can
what
be
we don't wanna
a
hear
bit
it
too
like
much.
that.
Yeah,
Women
exactly.
can smother the hell out of men,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
men, I will say, can smother the
Yeah,
hell
yeah.
out of a woman.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need a second to just breathe. That's it.
What's
It's
the movie?
nothing
Wait to
personal.
Exhale?
Yeah,
It's
Fabulous.
nothing
Fabulous.
personal. I just need a second to be by myself.
Breathe, stretch,
Period. Dot.
shake,
I
let it
don't
go.
hate you. I don't despise you, but I need a second. That's it.
Interesting.
Everybody takes everything personal.
Everybody
it's not
loves
that deep.
differently.
When you're by
Everybody's like,
yourself,
oh, I think you're gonna
Like
break
I
up
said,
with
I
me
think
or
it all
something.
comes
It's
down
not
to
that
learning
deep.
the
Just
person you're with.
let me get some
Yeah,
space
let
real
those
quick.
be
That's
If
it.
you've dated a girl knowing she's a stage 5 clinger, what do you expect? You know,
Ah,
Stage
Steve.
5 clean. You
if,
gotta let
if
her
a
go.
girl and a guy are both ambitious and they got things going on for themselves, then you're going to have time to miss each other because you're not going to be next to each other anyway. So like it just really depends on who the fuck you date. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a stage 5
Right.
clinger. You gotta.
I
Let her
What is
agree.
that? Stage 5 cleaner? What's that? Give me a definition.
I like that. I like that stage 5 clingy.
Oh,
I like
dang,
that.
dude, how you gonna
Yeah,
do me
stage
like
5,
that?
you never seen that movie? You're like, oh, she's stage 5 clinger, bro. Watch out, bro. She's
Watch
stage
out.
5, stage 5, stage 5. You never
You
seen that
better
movie?
respond to every text, every phone call.
What movie?
I forget the movie, man. I gotta look it up. But it was
I didn't
it's a
even know
funny
the
ass movie. It was like years ago. It was pretty.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad we spoke about that. That is like super necessary because I always have people come to me and ask for
7
advice.
seconds.
And they're like, well, he's telling me he wants space and I think he's going to cheat on me and I think he's going to leave me. You are going to push him to that point. It may not even be like that. Just give him a
Right?
second to
He's gonna
think
walk
straight.
into a club and there's
Can
gonna
he
be
scratch his
girls.
balls by himself for 10 seconds? That's it. He just
What-
wants to be able to process his own
Why
thoughts.
your dick itchy, huh? You just done
Right. You know what I'm saying?
That's
It's like,
stage
hold
5.
up.
That's stage 5 right there.
Like, whoa, time out.
Why you
So
think so?
please, everybody listening, males and females, let your partner breathe. Let them
That's a
breathe.
good
We're gonna close on
That's
that.
it.
Breathe, yes.
We're gonna
That's
close
it.
on that.
I don't
We're gonna make a
have
Losa
problem
shirt
with
then.
that. I just
What's
don't-
that song?
I just have
By
some
Nas,
feel
Breathe.
some type of way
That's
if he's not telling me
fabulous.
that he's gonna do that over and
Fabulous.
over. I'm like,
Breathe.
Yeah,
Okay.
breathe. Yeah.
Word.
One and then a two and then the 3. Then you gotta breathe.
I wish.
So
I wish.
this show has been brought to you by Wing King.
We heard.
oh, by the way, I'm DJing on bass. It's a Super Ladies Night, and we have.
Are you playing Latin music? Because if not, I ain't
Super Ladies
going.
Night, cash and prize every hour, and we got a prizes.
You got an event at Remy's?
Yes.
Are you
yes, I
playing
do.
bachata music?
Yeah, are you playing bachata music? Because if not, I ain't
I'll
going.
be playing because 10 to 2, 10 to
Hey, if
12,
you want some
I'm the
bachata and
DJ.
salsa, come to
12 to
Bailando,
2 is
holla at
me.
your boy.
Coming around.
12 to 10. What?
10 to 2 on bass at the rocker.